What is up, Flockers? That is my fellow lockers and aspiring lockers. In today's video, I'm going to be personally showing you how you can create your own locks. Now, that's instant locks, whether you're starting with your own hair or you're going to be adding in lock extensions. However you want to do it, I've got several different methods that I want to show you. So if you're interested in that, then stick around. For this first one, I am going to go ahead and show you what an instant lock using your own hair looks like. The great thing about this method is that you don't have to add any additional hair. And here I'm using the three-pronged crochet tool. And with this method, you're just going to pull the hair with the three-pronged crochet hook back and forth. And as I'm doing this, I'm also rotating. It's kind of difficult to see, but you can look at my fingers and see that I'm rotating the hair and kind of rubbing it back and forth in that type of motion. And I do that all the way down the length of the lock. So I'm rotating it and I'm pulling hairs through, and I'm pulling them diagonally, I'm pulling them left and right, up and down, changing the direction of the needles as much as possible, just so that I can get the hair to lock and to actually mesh and do the things that it's supposed to do. And as you can see, this is in real time, so it doesn't take a long time at all to get through a lock. And of course, depending on how long your hair is and the density and all of those things, it will change how long it takes to get through. But something else to keep in mind is that this mannequin's head, her name is Jury, she does not have 4C hair. She's got this like blown out texture. I'd say she's in the 3 somewhere. So keep that in mind as we're going through these different types of locks, and realize that if you have type 4 hair, 4A, B, C, that this is going to turn out a lot different on you and better than it does on this mannequin. But this is just for the purposes of showing you. And as you see, as I get to the end length of the lock, I'm still doing the same thing, of the hair, to make it into a lock, and I'm pulling it down and rotating it as I go. And then when I get to the end of this one, and honestly all of them, you see I kind of loop the hair at the end up, and I'm going to crochet that hair in, so that way your hair is not just hanging at the bottom and you have these loose straggly ends, but instead it gives you this rounded look and it's more natural. Again, Jury's hair is like a blown out 3B or 3A texture, and so it's not going to be the same as if you're in the 4 texture family. And then I go back and I will palm roll that lock just to give it that more cylindrical and smooth feel. And here you can see our outcome of that lock. It looks wonderful. It took us less than 2 minutes and we have a lock on one of our sets of hair. Now I'm going to go in with some extension hair, and I'm going to show you the wrapping method with some Kinky extension hair. And this hair was actually provided to me by Exyhair extensions, and I will put all of the information in the description box so that if you're interested, you can check that out. And you can also get a $10 coupon code if you use the link in the description. All right, and with the wrapping method, for me, it's important to get somewhat close to the scalp. And so as I do that, it's literally what it's called, the wrapping method. And so you're going to kind of start your base and then wrap from there. And you wrap a little bit and then you move your hand naturally down the length of the hair that you're trying to wrap. And you're just wrapping your own hair in this Kinky Afro hair. And you're going to keep going down. And the good thing about this method is that if you do find yourself with thinner spots or spots that you need to add more hair to, you can easily go back and wrap some more hair around that area. You can wrap up and down. And when you do that, it not only gives a better, more uniform look, but it also makes it so that it's not just perfectly wrapped looking. It's kind of hard to describe, but I feel like when people have wrapped locks, it gives more of an illusion or the look of the synthetic locks as opposed to natural looking locks. And see, here I ran out of hair, but that's not a problem because I just go and grab a little bit more And when you're doing the wrap method, just like with any other method, you can choose the length that you want them to end up. You can choose the thickness by adding more, or you can make them thinner depending on what size you want, what you're trying to achieve with these locks. And then when I get to the end, as usual, I would bend up or kind of loop the hair at the end. And then with that same hair, I'm going to start going up the length of the lock, just so that you can seal it in and lock it and make sure that that lock does not come undone. And then, like I said, you can go up and down the length of the lock while wrapping. And what that does is it just gives it a more natural look, so that you don't just have a perfectly wrapped lock. And then, like with all of them, I will palm roll it at the end to kind of condense it and get the lock to be shaped the way that I want it to be. Now with our third one, we're going in and I'm going to do a braiding hair and then crochet method. So if you're worried about the lock extensions possibly slipping out or this hair coming out of your hair, then you can of course go in and braid hair at the base. Now here I'm kind of in a rush and I'm not doing things neatly. I didn't section the hair off or pin it away. But if you're doing this on yourself or someone else, you obviously would want to take the time to pin other hair and stuff away so that it does not get in the way. But after I braid it down about an inch and a half maybe, then I'm going back and with some hair I'm wrapping around that braided section, because I don't want that braided section to be visible. I want the lock to look the same as all the rest of the locks that I've done. So I go back with the wrapping method and cover up that braid, and then I'm going down the length of the lock or the length of the hair that we have in the same wrapping method as before. As you can see, I just kind of take it and with one hand I hold the lock while wrapping it around with the other, and you just go down the length of the lock like this. And again, with this method, you're also able to make the lock as long as you want. If you run out of hair, then you can add more hair to the bottom and continue the wrapping process, and that's not a problem at all. And as you can see, there's probably some bumps and stuff. Bumps give character, bumps give a feel that they're more natural. It's very rare that someone who has natural locks has perfectly cylindrical locks that have no bumps or anything like that. But if the bumps are larger than you would want and you want them to look a little bit neater and cleaner, then of course you can go in and you can clean those up with the crochet needle. But there you go, you see the braiding method. So that is how you braid the lock in. Now this next method that I'm going to go in with is creating a lock by using the crochet method and then attaching it to your head. And here, again, as always, you can choose the size you want. If you want a thinner Microloc, if you want a large lock to put on there, you can choose the size that you ultimately want and the thickness and all of that. Normally I would do this not standing up and not going in this direction, but for the purposes of this video so that you could see, I went ahead and did it like this. But if you can do it like this, then you definitely know that it wouldn't be difficult to flip it the other way and do it for someone the way that I would normally do it. And here, the same way that I crocheted it when it was just Jury's hair on her head, I'm going down the length of the hair and I'm pulling it through in different directions, left, right, up, down, diagonally. And with my left hand, you see my pointer finger and my thumb, and I'm twisting the lock while I'm pulling it through, pulling the crochet needle through with my right hand simultaneously. Now, it does take some getting used to, but I promise you, after you've done it a few times and for a while, you get into a rhythm and you kind of figure out your own speed and pace. The only thing that I would warn you about is be careful, because those needles are sharp and they will slice and dice your finger up. So you have to be careful. You sometimes won't even realize that you're cutting your finger up. So it is important to be careful and not go so fast, because it can be very tempting to want to go fast. Making locks can take a very long time. So we're going to go ahead and speed this process up. But you want to take your time. You want to do it well. If there's any lumps or any loose places, thin places, again, you can add hair and make it the length that you want. You can make it the thickness that you want and make sure that it has the consistency that you want. So I'm constantly going through and checking the consistency, and then I do the palm roll. Here you can see I left some out at the end because I need that left out area so that I can attach it to Jury's hair. Normally you would start this at the end of hair or the end of a lock if you're attaching it, but I just went ahead and did it near the base or the root, just so that it could be around the same length as the rest to compare. If I were smarter, I would have gone ahead and just cut her hair in that for that one lock, so that way I could just show you the full thing. But as you'll see later, her hair will still be hanging out. Again, when you're doing this method, you want to attach it near the end of the hair or the lock that you're attaching it to, and not attach it at the top of your hair when you have a lot of hair down at the bottom. And then in the same way, you're going to crochet your hair into this existing lock hair. All right, as you can see there, I've got the separation and I've got the two. But again, I wouldn't normally do a lock like this, but I didn't take the time to cut the hair first because I was just trying to show you that you can attach a lock that's already pre-made. All right, and then just to go ahead and cover it up so that it's not so visible, I'm going to go ahead and disguise it by wrapping some hair around, again using the wrap method. So the same method that I've used several times before that you've seen, I'm wrapping the hair, and that's just going to make it so that since Jury's hair, like I said, is not 3B or 3C like this hair is, because this hair is the texture 4B, 4C. Since Jury has a completely different texture, I want to camouflage that so that it looks the same as all the rest of the locks and you're not able to see her hair popping through where it's straight and blown out. So I do the wrap method. And then of course, you can go back in with the crochet needle and you can roughen that up so that, again, it just looks tighter, it looks neater. And when you crochet the locks, it just gives it a more rugged appearance and makes it look more natural, like an actual lock, as opposed to, like I said, when you have the wrap locks, sometimes the hair appears shinier, and it also just, it's hard to explain. I'll have to at some point do a comparison video and just show you side by side. But wrapped locks compared to crochet locks, they have a different appearance, and depending on what you're going for and how long you want to leave them in could determine whether or not you decide to go for a crochet or you decide to go for the wrapping method. All right, so here I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with that extra hair, but you can see we finished the lock there. Okay, and then for our next one, I'm going to show you how you can create a lock on the head with the extensions. So there are so many different opportunities and ways and methods that you can use to use the bulk kinky hair. It's not just one size fits all. Here we're going to, like I said, create the lock on the head. So in the same method that we've done before, we're crocheting now, just like we did with the very first lock when we crocheted just Jury's hair by herself. We're doing the same method by crocheting this bulky hair into her hair. And while I'm doing that, I would just let you know that this bulk hair is advertised as tight Afro kinky bulk human hair for dreadlock extensions, repair locks, twist, and braids. And I can attest that you can use it for all of that. Now, like I said, this hair was sent to me by Exyhair, and they did not pay me. This isn't a sponsored video. They simply asked me if I would be interested in reviewing their hair, and I told them that I would and give an honest and true review. And I can say that this hair holds up to the other types of hair that I've used in the past for lock extensions. It feels great. It's got that great 4B, 4C texture to it. And I thought, why not add a little fun here and just show you that you can even add a pop of color. So the bundle that I've been using up until this point is 4B, but I also asked them to go ahead and send me some blonde so that I can show you that you don't have to just stick with one color. You could do multi-colors. You know, they have different colors that they come in, and so maybe you can match the color that your locks are dyed to, or your natural color if it's not 1B. If you want to have blonde locks, you can do that too, and you attach this hair and crochet it in the exact same way as we've been doing all of this time. So nothing changes. The only difference now is because there's such a stark contrast with this hair, it's important that you're going to have to do a little bit more of the crocheting to make sure that you can't see the black through the blonde. Again, because these colors are so different, the black is going to be, or the 1B, the dark brown, is going to be very visible if you don't add enough and if you don't crochet it properly. So as you see me here, I am adding more because there are areas where I can see that the black is showing through. Obviously, if we were carrying down one color all the way through, you wouldn't have this issue, but when you do switch up the colors, especially when it's such a drastic comparison or contrast, you are going to have to spend a little bit more time cultivating each lock to make sure, like I said, that you're not having that darker hair show through in places that you don't want to. But the great thing about crochet is that you can easily go in there and crochet it, and as you can see even here, it just naturally and seamlessly flows from one color to the next. And something else that's really great about this tight Afro Kinky bulk human hair is that you're able to dye it. So if you did get it in a 1B, for example, but you have a different color in your hair, one that maybe isn't on the website, maybe you dye your hair magenta, or you dye your hair blue, or some other color that you're not going to find online in their website, then you can simply dye the hair the same way that you would dye your own hair. So that is a wonderful thing about this hair, and then you don't have to worry about any damage that may be caused. So maybe you don't have one of those fun exotic colors in your hair, but maybe you want those as your lock extension. So you could get you some lock extensions, or sorry, some bulk hair, and make them into lock extensions and dye the hair, so that way that hair is being processed and you're not having to dye the hair that's growing out of your head. And so you can experiment with colors, you can experiment with dye, and not have to worry about the wear and tear that it might put on your existing locks or your existing hair. All right, and as you see, as I said, you just go down the length of the lock, and you're going to do the same process that you would do for any other. If you're going to do the wrap method, then you would wrap it the same way as you normally would. Or if you're going to crochet, you're going to crochet down the length of the lock. And then you go back, and if you need to add hair in places to fill in so that it is not visible, then you do that. And as you see here, I go in and I add hair in different places and do a little spot touching, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you're going to have to spot touch just to make sure that it flows seamlessly. Then we're going to palm roll it at the end just to tie it all together and give it that more cylindrical look. So here you can see all of them together. We have all the ones that we've created, and then we have that busted one on the end that still has the hair that's hanging out. So I thought, for kicks and giggles, why not go ahead and wrap that one with some blonde too. We'll give the locks a little bit more of a pop of color, while at the same time just showing y'all different ways that you can switch up the locks, add them in there, do things. And I know that for some people, lock extensions is very taboo. I know that there are some people in the lock community that feel like if you have extensions in your hair, then you're not true to the journey, that you didn't go through the struggle and all of that thing. And my take on this is, your struggle is your struggle, my journey is my journey. So no way, shape, or form should anybody else make you feel a certain way about your journey. If you want to use lock extensions to start your journey or extend your journey, continue on your journey, then do that. Do what makes you happy at the end of the day. Don't let naysayers, keep you away from doing something that you want to do with your hair. They're not the ones that are going to have to maintain it. They're not the ones that are going to have to wash it or do anything like that. So their opinion really isn't important. And that last lock is looking real chunky and funky and all sorts of whatnot. Okay, so don't come judging for the skills of my wrapping on that one. Like I said, this one wasn't planned. I just thought, let me go ahead and try to do something with this, because all the jury's hair was hanging out in that one, since we attached that one an already created lock at the roots, which again normally wouldn't do, but that's where we are. So I just wanted to show you what it would look like, and this is where we're at. All right, and there's the finished product of all of those different types.